everyone! We are from Group 1. Today, along with the other members, we'll be explaining Buddhism and its social, cultural, and political dynamics in Indonesia. To start, I would like to introduce myself. I am Xadricta. The religion of enlightenment in Buddhism. What is enlightenment? When a Buddhist discovers the meaning of existence and having attained nirvana, cease to be reborn, they will not be reborn to samsara once they reach nirvana, which is suffering. There are 4 stages to complete enlightenment. One who has fully acquired it is sometimes referred to as an arahant. What are the stages of enlightenment? Sotapanna, or stream enterer, is the first stage of nirvana. One who has reached this stage is considered to have opened the Dharma's eye. Sakadagami, or once returner, is the second stage. A monk who has abandoned the 3 fetters and has weakened his greed, hatred, and delusion becomes a once returner, who has returned to this world one more time and will put an end to suffering. Arahant. This is the final step to nirvana. One who passes through this stage is liberated from all 10 shackles as well as the cycle of rebirth and death. An arahant reached nirvana by taking the route that Lord Buddha outlined. Anagami, or non-returner. One who doesn't come in Japanese, has eliminated all 10 obstacles to enlightenment, starting with the first 5 and has left Earth and all other world systems, like planets or solar system. Such a one is reborn into a heavenly state where he or she becomes enlightened.
Buddhism was first founded 2,500 years ago by Siddhartha Gautama. Its history can be divided into 4 periods: Old Buddhism, the rise of Mahayana, Tantra, and Chan. While the first period of Buddhism remained purely Indian, in the second period, they started to spread and be influenced by non-Indian thoughts. The first Buddhist is thought to arrive in Indonesia around 100 to 200 AD from India. It is assumed that Buddhism was not spread by traders, but by kings that are drawn by the Brahmans, and they were able to associate themselves with a Hindu deity or a Buddhist bodhisattva. After Buddhism arrived, many kingdoms developed and ruled by indigenous kings that practiced Buddhism. The period of Buddhist Hindu kingdoms lasted from ancient history to the 15th century. After its arrival, the first Buddhist kingdom that stood in Nusantara was Sriwijaya Kingdom. It became one of Buddhist development center in Southeast Asia. According to I Sing's journal, a bachelor from China, Buddhism grew at a fast rate during this era. A few other kingdoms that appeared includes Kediri, Singasari, Sailendra, and Majapahit. Sailendra dynasty helped Buddhism grow even further, especially in Java, but when they fell, the Javanese Hindu kingdoms had a tendency for the syncretism of Buddhism and Hinduism. One of the other causes of Buddhism's decline is the arrival of Islam in Sumatra. The Arabs then controlled trade in Sumatra. Islam, which had previously been entrenched in Perlak and Samudra, had spread quickly to Sumatra by the time the Arabs controlled this commerce. When the Portuguese arrived in Indonesia in 1512 in pursuit of spices, European influence in Indonesia began. Portuguese and Spanish helped spread Christianity in Indonesia. While Islam continues to grow and help tremendously during the colonization, Buddhism's role is not that large compared to Islam. After Islam and Christianity spread rapidly, Buddhism experienced more significant decline. It was not until 1934 when a Buddhist monk from Sri Lanka named Narada Mahathera visited the Dutch East Indies as the first Theravada monk to come to teach Buddhism, and when Aisyah Rakita, an Indonesian monk, emerged, their enthusiasm increased, which helped spread the Buddhism religion. Buddhism, along with 5 other religions, are recognized as the official religions in Indonesia. Like every other religion, Buddhism has their own religious holiday called Vesak, or better known as Waisak. They celebrate Vesak every year to commemorate the birth, enlightenment, and the death of Gautama Buddha. Aishin Rakita founded the Great Indonesian Sangha, a form where 3 important schools which are known to the Indonesian people, Theravada, Mahayana, and Tantrayana, can be found. Even so, Buddhism still faces discrimination in modern society. One of the main reasons is that Buddhism is a minority group in Indonesia, as there are many people in Indonesia who still sees minority group as a worse group than theirs. This is what we as a community need to fight for, the equality and equity of many minority groups in Indonesia so that we can achieve a peaceful and harmonious life.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aqxa, and I'll be going through the basic teachings of Buddhism. Buddhism is an Eastern form of spirituality. In its essence, it's a life philosophy that has been powerfully and thoroughly expressed. The term Buddhism refers to a vast and intricate religious philosophical tradition with a roughly 2,500-year-old history from its origins in India with Siddhartha Gautama. Siddhartha Gautama was a teacher and had left out his knowledge to the world to reach enlightenment, or nirvana, firstly being the Four Noble Truths. The Buddha's whole collection of teachings and practices were laid forth in the Four Noble Truths, which provide the fundamental guidelines for a person's journey toward enlightenment. These Four Noble Truths will reveal the true nature of life itself and would achieve the possibility of escaping beyond the limited physical world into an existence that is free from suffering. The first of the Four Noble Truths is the truth of suffering. It refers to the reality that pain and suffering is everywhere, and fully understanding its presence leads to the cessation of suffering itself. It's taught that grasping it fully would cultivate them in ourselves to overcome our difficulties. The second noble truth is the truth of the cause of suffering, and that we suffer because of our cravings. According to Buddhism, ignorance and desire are the causes of suffering. Buddhists define desire as the desire for pleasure, material possessions, and immortality, all of which are things that are unsatisfiable demands, and as a result, desiring them can only bring suffering. The third noble truth is the truth of the end of suffering, which has two possible interpretations. It might refer to either the spiritual life after reaching nirvana or the end of suffering in this life on earth. Spiritual enlightenment is attained when a person enters nirvana, which is a transcendent state devoid of pain in our world's cycle of birth and rebirth. The fourth and final noble truth is the truth of the path leading to the end of suffering. It is when one follows the set path of the Noble Eightfold Path, which would then lead themselves into nirvana. While practicing the Noble Eightfold Path is more important than learning it intellectually, it is nevertheless necessary to fully comprehend it in order to follow it effectively. The 8 components of the Noble Eightfold Path should not be carried out in order, rather one after the other. They are often referred to as singular components to a wheel rather than stages or steps, with the emphasis that all 8 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path may be present simultaneously. These components have been broken down into 3 groups: moral discipline, concentration, and wisdom. Moral discipline makes up of right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Right speech refers to abstaining from hurting people with your own words, such as telling lies, from gossip, or from abusive language. And when one abstains from these forms of wrong and harmful speech, they would naturally have to speak the truth and have to use the words that are friendly and pleasant. Right livelihood, it means that they'd have to be ethical in their career. It means that they shouldn't be involved for making one's life through a profession that brings harm to others, such as trading in arms, lethal weapons, or intoxicating drinks, or poisons, or killing animals, cheating, etc. Right action means that someone should always strive to be good. It aims at promoting moral, honorable, and peaceful conduct. The second group is concentration, which makes up of right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right effort means that you should always live your life with a positive attitude and not destroy your life, and always have the intention to improve your life. Right mindfulness means that you should always pay attention and live life entirely in the present and always be mindful. The practice of concentrating on your breath or breathing is one of the well-known exercises that was taught by the Buddha. The third one is right concentration. It's the ability to concentrate and focus on a single object. Right concentration helps you focus your mind and see things how they truly are. The third group is wisdom, which makes up of right view and right intent. Right view is understanding that the Four Noble Truths will help you stop from suffering, and everything in this world isn't permanent. Right intent is the understanding of things as they are, and it is the Four Noble Truths that explains as they really are. And if actions were done with bad intention, it will cause suffering, but if they were done with compassion, then it would alleviate suffering. And according to Buddha, by following this Noble Eightfold Path, you would be able to reach enlightenment or nirvana.
As you know, when we were 17, we were eligible for identity cards, or as most of you know it, the KTP. Most of you also know that we have to declare our religious beliefs on our identity cards. But for most of us who believe in one of the 6 recognized religions of the state, like Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, Catholicism, and Protestantism, we would have no trouble in doing so. However, most people who are followers of a minority, ethnic, or non-official religion, this proves to be a problem. Although leaving the column blank is also a solution, it might also pose to be a problem because it might interfere with things like government subsidies, wage raises, job promotions, signing up for schools, or obtaining birth, death, and marriage certificates. Due to this, the branch of Buddhism, called the Tridharma, which is a syncretization of minority religions such as Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism, can act as an umbrella to harbor the followers of these minority and ethnic religions. Although Confucianism is already recognized by the state, the followers claim they were Buddhists for the longest time, and Taoism is still yet to be recognized, which means that in the sense, Buddhism can act as like a formality. Thanks to the syncretic religions, most people can still receive state benefits and practice their religions. A British archaeologist by the name of Dr. Ferguson categorizes Buddhist architecture into 5 categories. So the first one, we have a stupa, which is kind of like a dome-shaped roof that can be used to store the belongings of a deceased Buddhist. So apparently, it also portrays the Buddha, his journey to becoming enlightened, a mountain, perhaps to like represent obstacles and the universe. So the second one we have is a vihara, which is kind of like a monastery or a place of residence for monks. But the difference with viharas in Indonesia is that I think when I read about it, it says that viharas are like a place of worship. So I guess that's kind of like the difference for both India and Indonesia. The third, we have a chaitya hall, which is a place of worship that is made out of the remnants of ashes from a cremated body. We also have railings, which are carved out wood panels that portray life events and symbols of the Buddha. And we also have stone pillars, which contain decrees or engravings from the olden day kings. And last but not least, we also know that Waisak is the national, it's a national holiday in Indonesia, but Buddhists celebrate this day because there are 3 important events that they're celebrating. So first is the birth of the Prince Siddhartha, which is the person Buddha was before he became Buddha, and then it also celebrates his path of enlightenment and also his death. So this celebration of this holiday is marked by the flag hoisting ceremony of the Buddhist flag, as people sing hymns and they decorate temples with flowers and water. However, in India, this day is known more commonly as Buddha Jayanti or Buddha Purnima, because I think this day is commenced on a day where there is a full moon. And Indian Buddhists celebrate this by taking a dip in the Ganges River, and this represents an act of cleansing their sins. However, the most common practice would be to pray, meditate, fast, and reflect on Buddha's teachings.
Indonesia's national principle is the Pancasila. The first point is Ketuhanan Yang Maha Esa, or belief in the one and only God. Buddhists hold that although rebirth and suffering are a constant part of human existence, this cycle can be broken permanently by attaining enlightenment or nirvana. Buddhists don't believe in any sort of deity or God, but they do believe in supernatural beings who can aid or obstruct a person's journey towards enlightenment. With that in mind, Indonesia still gives Buddhism the right to be here. As they do not believe in any god, they can use Hinduism as an umbrella to be in. But in the end, Indonesia gives it religious freedom, and Buddhism is still recognized as one of the official religion in Indonesia.
The political roles of Buddhism in Indonesia. Hindu culture offers the idea of Dewa Raja, which refers to the highest leader who is thought to be a deity incarnate. This idea grants a king's authority, and the Indonesian people started to understand the idea of a royal form of governance, with the king serving as the head of state. The social roles of Buddhism in Indonesia. According to Hein and Prebish in their book Buddhism in the Modern World, Buddhism is a religion that must be capable of playing a major role in ongoing efforts to preserve traditional teachings and modes of practice to meet the demands of adaptation to changing social and cultural conditions. For example, the development of language and writing, and Palawa alphabet.
So now we reach the end. How Buddhism affects tourism in Indonesia. There are many places in Indonesia, an Islam majority country, where Buddhism is present. The first place where we think of when it comes to Buddhism is Bali. Bali has been a province in Indonesia where Buddhism is the majority religion. A lot of Indonesians also know that every year in Bali, there's a day where everyone doesn't work or go out to the streets, and it's called Vesak Day, or what is popularly called Waisak Day. From a tourist point of view, it's the Buddhist temples and sites that are attracted many people to see the beauty of these magnificent architectural sites. One of the many popular tourist and pilgrimage sites in Bali is the famous Lempuyang Temple that is located near a mountain. The local monks believe that the mountain in Lempuyang has mystical magic, which is the reason why they built the temple altar close to the mountain. Other than religious and sightseeing tourism, Bali's Buddhism culture also attract monk pilgrims that came to specifically pray or do other religious activities. Now there is Candi Borobudur. The Buddhist temple was constructed during the early 9th century. The temple was a site of worshipping by not only monks, but also Buddhist traders who came to do trade and to do business from the 10th to the 14th century, China and India. The temple served its purpose as a huge landmark that also marked the Buddhist civilization touch, reach here in central Java, Indonesia. Candi Borobudur is a sacred temple and one of the biggest Buddhist ones out there. The temple was built to worship Buddha, the high Buddha god, the enlightened one, back when it was a landmark for pilgrim monks and followers to come and pray. The temple shrine would also be filled with pilgrims, tourists, and followers as Vesak Day, a national holiday where Buddhists from all around the world commemorates the birth of the enlightenment and also the death of Gautama Buddha. Thank you everyone for listening.